making these NFTs. Mind blowing.
Hold, please.
Yeah.
Explain NFTs to people that don't know what you're talking about, because I don't know what you're talking about. I do, but I don't. I know it's a non-fungible token.
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure what that means.
Yeah. Well, it's just not very fungible. You know, tokens are super fungible.
Got it.
These aren't very fungible.
I don't even know if I could, if I was on Jeopardy. And they said, what is fungible?
Fungible.
I'm not sure what that means.
Fungible. I don't
What
even
does
know
fungible mean?
For something to be fungible, it has to be of such a nature that one part or quantity can be replaced by another equal part or quantity. The synonym for fungible is interchangeable. A perfect example of something that's fungible is currency. A $10 bill is identical in value to two $5 bills or 10 $1 bills. Something that's not fungible cannot be interchanged or duplicated by anything else. A non-fungible token, NFT for short, is a unit of data stored on a digital ledger called a blockchain that certifies a digital asset to be unique and therefore not interchangeable. So why does this matter? The greatest strength and greatest weakness of digital data like photos, videos, and audio files is that they can all be easily downloaded and copied ad infinitum. To correct this weakness, NFTs are tracked on blockchains to provide the owner of the source file with proof of ownership that cannot be duplicated. But why should we as investors care? Well, this is why.
The singer and artist Grimes selling nearly $6 million in videos and music, with one of her videos going for $390,000.
This cat meme, though downloaded millions of times, sold for $600,000.
Jack Dorsey entering the fray of the weekend, offering the first ever published tweet from 2006 as an NFT. Now those 5 words, just setting up my Twitter, getting a bid of $2.5 million.
The NFT market has been growing exponentially, achieving a market capitalization of over $700 million so far this year alone. And this white hot market officially went mainstream on March 11th when this happened.
The Christie's auction for digital artist Beeple, whose real name is Mike Winkleman, coming to a close a few moments ago. The final bid, David, $69 million.
Oh, my gosh.
As of 6 months ago, Beeple had yet to sell any work, and most of America and the world are still trying to understand how NFTs fit into overall asset valuations, but
Carl, help me. Carl, help me understand this. Help me. I'm relying on you and Morgan to explain this to me. I can say non-fungible. What is a non-fungible token? But that's about where my understanding ends. Yeah. All right. $69 million. Winkleman. Way to go, Winkleman. Way to make it happen. People.
This is incredible, too. I mean, the NFT situation has just kind of exploded onto the scene, and the numbers behind it. I mean, just to see $69 million.
Now, with this exponential growth and crazy market valuations, it would be prudent to ask, is this a bubble? Are these valuations justified? Or is this another new technology mania that's completely detached from reality? In this video, we're going to answer these questions, and what was found may surprise you. What's up, guys? So now that we know what an NFT is and the crazy growth that's going on in the NFT market, it's time to ask, do these assets make a good investment? As I've mentioned before on this channel, even though we primarily talk about productive assets, even if we're going to talk about non-productive assets, we're going to look at it through the value investing lens. Is there any value in this space? The problem with doing that for the NFT market is that it's just so new. A year ago, nobody knew what the hell this stuff was. And now it's really just stormed onto the scene. So because of that, we're gonna have to get a little bit more creative. We're gonna have to do a little bit more of a fundamental analysis and determine, since we don't have, a historical track record, we're gonna have to just determine the fundamentals of what gives something value. So based on my research, there's pretty much 5 things that give asset value or any kind of product or item that you purchase. The first is something can have historical value. meaning that it had, some historical significance, maybe a painting that was done at a particular time and place. Number 2, something could have intrinsic value. This is usually applicable to productive assets. If you have something that is producing and consequently it has value due to its production. Number 3, it could have demand value. So, just based on supply and demand dynamics, if an asset or a particular item has higher demand for whatever reason than the supply, it's going to increase in value. Number 4, popularity value. This is more based on human psychology, greater fool's theory, and it has to do with whenever there's something that's popular, sometimes there's a mania, sometimes there's a craze. It can be temporary, but if something's hot, if it's popular, it's going to shoot demand up, and consequently, with limited supply, the price is going to go up. And number 5, sentimental value. This one is not typically used, but if there's a particular item that has sentimental value to the purchaser, they're going to be willing to bid it up at a much higher price. So I could sit here and tell you logically why I don't think NFTs meet the criteria for a lot of what makes something valuable. But rather than just do that, I think a better approach, I'm a big fan of debates. I'm a big fan of hearing both sides of an argument, and then as the viewer, you can decide what you think. So even though I'm not going to have a debate on this show, I am going to run clips of 2 of the biggest proponents, the most high-profile proponents and supporters and, advocates for NFTs. I'm going to run clips on them expressing why they think NFTs are so big, they're game changers of the future. And then I'm going to opine whenever I feel like, there's a point that I could counter with my perspective. And then you as viewers can decide, what you think. And the 2 biggest proponents are Gary Vaynerchuk and Beeples, the artist that sold his NFT for $69 million. So yeah, let's hear what they have to say.
Let's talk about NFT.
NFTs. My favorite new topic.
I'm so obsessed too. I'm spending a ton of time on this in my own brain.
So for people that don't know what NFTs are, right? Non-fungible tokens. These are one of the great parts about the whole crypto space, the blockchain space. Satoshi's white paper is that it was the first digital signature that you couldn't counterfeit. So think about what that means. You can make digital art that no one can counterfeit. And so all of a sudden, art gets its value from scarcity.
All right, so right there, I'm going to have to disagree with him. A work of art doesn't get its value primarily from its scarcity. Obviously, a lot of the classical works of art, paintings done by the greats of the past, they're all one of one. But that's not where they primarily get their valuation. They're expensive. If we go back to the list of what makes something valuable, these works of art are primarily expensive due to their historical value, due to popularity of that artist at the time, and even due to sentimental value. The idea of something being scarce has been, especially nowadays, grossly misused. All that scarcity really means is that the supply of something is low. When you look at supply and demand dynamics, if the demand is higher than the supply, the price goes up. But when the demand is lower than the supply, the price goes down. If the supply of something is always low, then by definition, you don't need much demand for the price to go up. Just because the supply of something is low, that doesn't automatically mean the price is going up. There needs to be demand in excess of the supply for it to go up. So if something is scarce, that just means the demand doesn't need to be that high for the price to go up. It's all a supply and demand relationship.
And so the blockchain allows you to do that. So now we're going to see artists for the first time ever create art digitally, right? The great artists. They never did before. So you're going to sell digital art. You're going to actually take your phone. You're going to buy it. It's going to go on your phone. You're going to walk home and you're going to throw it up on a giant screen. And you're like, that's mine. No one else owns that thing. That's mine.
All right, so this scenario that he's talking about of owning a piece of digital artwork and being able to use it exclusively, could be possible, but that's not how most NFTs are being used in its current form. Right now, when most people buy NFTs, they're not purchasing an actual image or video file of artwork. According to the Vice article, people's expensive NFTs keep vanishing. They're buying code on an Ethereum blockchain that references a piece of media that's located somewhere else on the internet. There can be people that have bought NFTs where there was no JPEG logged onto the blockchain itself. It was just a certificate pointing to a URL. So in many cases, buyers of NFTs don't actually have ownership rights of anything.
And so we're going to have collectibles. They're going to create new collectibles,
100%.
right? There's going to be, instead of baseball cards that
there's NBA Top Shop. They're so rare.
Top
it's
Shop's
happening
blowing
already.
up all of a sudden.
I'm looking at it every day.
And so then there are going to be fractional things that get sold.
Well, that's what's happening. The fractionalization of physical things is a game changer. The reason Michael Jordan's rookie card is going to $1 million
Because you can sell 100.
Correct.
Yes.
Because Kenny and Stefan actually want it. I know they do. But they're not dropping $350,000 on a single sports card.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And I know them. But would they drop $350 if they knew it was going to $1 million? That's no different than buying a little Tesla and Apple stock. The fractionalization of sports cards is going to get that market insane on the tippy top.
I totally agree with Gary on this point. If you could fractionalize ownership through the use of NFTs, that's truly a game changer. Imagine a world where the rights to digital assets are broken up into, say, 1,000 parts and traded on different markets, with all associated royalties generated by those digital assets being distributed to the owners of those NFTs. Now, currently, the legal framework for this is not in place, but NFT technology definitely has the potential to create this kind of marketplace that hasn't existed before.
And so, and you're going to fractionalize jerseys, you're going to fractionalize cars, you're going to fractionalize all kinds of things.
Yeah, memorabilia is going to follow
But
fast.
even bigger than that are going to be these NFTs. You're going to have
I agree.
The Super Bowl. We're going to have Mahomes, and I'm going to have an artist do a painting, a digital painting of him, and a rapper sing a little song behind him, and then he's going to be up there, and you're going to sell that little clip from the Super Bowl done by Chase Hall or whoever the artist is, and people are going to be like, dude, there's only 10 of those, and they're going to buy them. And they're going to keep.
I think people need to know how to showcase them.
Yeah.
The missing piece. Just for the record, because I want to clip this one day and say, you know how I like to do my content. Yeah. In 9 years, I'll clip this and be like, "See, told you." You're 100% right. In one other man's humble opinion, why artworks is high net worth individuals buy a piece of art, and whether they put it in a Moroccan, warehouse, or whether they put it in their Upper West Side apartment, or whether they have a show that they donated to something, they're able to,
display it.
They're
going to be
and
really
the reason
cool.
sports cards is because you take a selfie and put it on Instagram. We love to flex. I'm waiting to understand the flexivization of the NFT, and as soon as I understand it,
it's coming.
Oh, I'm the least confused of all time.
To be fair here, Gary is honest about the limitations of his understanding with regards to NFTs. As he said, he's currently figuring out how people will be able to use NFTs as a display of status. And I actually think that this blind spot in his understanding is going to be the weakest argument for why NFTs have value. The thing about digital files is that anyone with an internet connection can download an exact copy of them. So rather than spending $69 million to buy that piece of artwork by Beeples, or the NFT for that artwork, anyone could go online and download a pixel perfect copy of it for free. It's just a 319 megabyte JPEG file, and experience it just the same as the guy that shelled out millions. I think that once this concept is fully understood by the market, no one will be flexing their NFTs or showing them off, because anyone could just say, hey, I have that same exact file on my phone too, and I didn't spend anything on it. So anyway, next up we have the digital artist Beeples, who set the record for the most expensive NFT ever sold. And here he's going to give his take on where he sees the NFT market going.
But here's my question about this digital ownership thing. What does ownership really mean, you think, in this digital economy? Because pre-digital, when we were talking about physical things, it meant proximity, it meant resolution. It was really obvious who owned it, because it's like, well, where is it? Where would a cat burglar have to go in order to get it? This is different. So when it comes to scarcity, is there real scarcity when anything can be turned into a digital asset, even ownership of a tweet, which everybody can see with equal resolution and proximity? And what about royalties and rights? With a lot of things, you're talking about music, if you really own rights to the catalog, you get paid when that thing gets played. Under this regime, I don't see how that happens.
Absolutely. So the thing that gives it scarcity is absolutely the same thing that gives Bitcoin scarcity. It's on the blockchain, and you can't copy it. Just like you can't say, oh, I've got 1 Bitcoin, copy, paste, now I've got 2 Bitcoin. That's not how it works. So it's really the exact same thing with this. Again, anybody can kind of like see the picture on the internet, but with that token that's backed by the blockchain, you can prove that you are the person that actually owns that piece of digital art. And in terms of the rights, I think right now there's a lot of sort of still some work that needs to be done on that, to be quite honest. And I think it's evolving, but I think IP through this, and that's something that Gary Vee talked about, on your show a couple days ago, I think is a super, super exciting new frontier, and something that I think has massive potential to sort of like take an artist and sort of have, ownership of that through this technology.
To Gary Vee and Beeple's credit, they answered all the questions about NFTs honestly and admitted that for the mainstream to truly embrace this new technology, intellectual property rights need to be included somehow. They both admitted that there's work that still needs to be done to integrate proof of ownership with an NFT and all the rights that come with that ownership. That's where I see NFTs changing the world. Not through digital art, but through digital proof of ownership, and in some cases the fractionalization of that ownership. The reality is that any of us can download a pixel-perfect copy of digital artwork or a tweet or whatever other nonsense is currently being sold as an NFT. And we can experience it for free, just like the person who bought it for millions. Without the intellectual property ownership, these NFTs are truly emperors without clothes, and it's only a matter of time before the market comes down from this mania and realizes that unless you have the ability to hit people with a copyright claim for using that file, no one gives a damn about your non-fungible token. Like what's happened with new technologies in the past, there's going to initially be a lot of mania, a lot of folly, a lot of silliness. Just like what happened with the internet in the late 90s. But once all the craziness subsides and emotions come down and we get our first NFT market crash, which we're actually seeing right now, once that's all done with, I do think there's a lot of business opportunity in this space, especially if you're someone that's in the blockchain technology industry or in the legal profession specializing in intellectual property rights. I do think that the NFT space going forward is going to be a blue ocean of opportunity, a business opportunity. But as for investment opportunity for retail investors, I really don't see much value in these besides being non-productive assets. If you're buying an NFT that doesn't come with ownership and intellectual property rights, I don't see them really holding their value, into the future. And many of them will probably go to zero. But, that's my take on it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
I got me a bad one, fiery, like she is a dragon. My diamonds, ice, like brick squad, 270. I'm rolling, pass me the OG, low focus. I'm wavy like oceans, she drowning.